This podcast episode is sponsored by Palumbo and Bertrand, attorneys at law.
Good day, seniors and active adults. Welcome back to our YouTube podcast, Get Your Weekly Slice, where we protect, inform, and educate you, our seniors and active adults, every week about what you should know as you age. It is about keeping you, our seniors, in the know. This podcast is about stories, and it's about us helping seniors. And this is story number 1. And you're going to, as you listen to this story of helping a senior, you're going to find out why we really like what we do and how rewarding it is to help seniors through this process called downsizing. So the first story I'm going to start with is a senior, 93 years old, and she would attend my seminars, the Smarter Senior Seminar Series events. She called me one day and said that she had decided, keep in mind, 93, decided that she no longer wanted to drive. It's a big decision. So she asked me if I could help her locate a veteran locally that she could donate her car to. After all, that would be something her husband, who'd been deceased for 20, almost 30 years, would have wanted to do because he was a veteran. So I reached out to a couple individuals who I know very well that help veterans with mortgages to purchase homes. I not only ran into one roadblock, but I ran into two roadblocks because neither one of them could come up with a number that I could call to make this happen. As I did my research, I found out that the Veterans Association will take the car, but they'll take that car to an auction or to a dealer to find out its true value or book value, and then sell it to either one of those entities so that they can get the money and add it to their overall program. That's not what this senior wanted. So I reached out to a guardian care management group. They connected me with another group that was not for profit. And we were able to, with her okay, donate a car to one of their clients who was disabled, but had a car or had a driver's license. Her car just went kaput, so it was perfect timing. So I went over to her house as they came with a tow truck, picked up the car, and took it away. It was an emotional time for her, but I was there to support her through this time. And she mentioned, this is exactly what my husband would have wanted me to do. So that started our continued conversations with her. And I want you to understand that when you have those conversations with a lot of seniors, they're going to tell you they're staying in their home. It was always a concern of mine with her because her mode of transportation was either a walker and or a wheelchair. She couldn't stand on her own, couldn't maneuver or anything like that because her legs weren't like they used to be. They were how do I want to put it, wearing out. So she had a son. She relied on the son. The son was very good to her. He was there all the time. He lived in a house, but the house wasn't conducive for her to move in, be given with her condition. So long story short, what hit us? Yes, the pandemic. Everything was shut down. We were in isolation mode. And one of the assisted memory communities that I had a relationship with sent out a email stating that they were providing meals for their vendors or partners, as I was one. I reached out to the sales and marketing person and asked, I have 4 women who attended my seminar, and because of the pandemic, I was wondering if I could pick up a meal for each one of them. Absolutely, without hesitation. So they gave us a choice. It was either salmon, chicken, or like fettuccine. All 4 of them chose the salmon. They got a starch, they got a salad, and they got dessert. So I went and picked them up. I delivered to each one of them. Now, mind you, these women, all living alone without any family for the most part, with the exception of one, living alone, all they're doing, because they were used to going out to eat or ordering out, all they were doing at that time was eating lean cuisines or TV dinners. That was it. So when they got this meal and I followed up with them after the meal was delivered and they ate it, they all raved about how good the food was. This lady in particular said it was so delicious. She said, "So tell me a little bit more about this community." And I said, "Well, what you do is once you move in, they'll take care of all your meals. You'll be secure. They'll have a nursing staff 24 hours a day. You'll be able to be around other people similar to you, conditions similar to you, and your age, your peers." And I think that's a would be a good remedy or solution for you as a senior. So she said, "Do me a favor, get me pricing for that community and 2 other communities." So I did that and I presented it to her. And the one that served the food was the one that was going to be financially the right fit for her. And it wasn't going to be that far of a distance for her son to visit several times during the week. So she decided that's what she was going to do. And we got so I gave her the pricing, we had all of that. And then the next thing that we needed to do, or she needed to do, was tell her son she was going to make that decision. So I followed up with her once or twice, and she still didn't have that conversation, but she was going to make sure that she had it within the week. And she did. And she shared it with me. And I want you to know that before she did that, and what really sold her was not only the quality of the food, but she didn't have to make her own breakfast. They were going to provide the meals, and she didn't have to worry about making breakfast anymore. That was number one. Number two was she didn't have to write a check for insurance for the townhome she lived in, for the utilities, for the HOA, all of that stuff she didn't have to worry about. By moving into this community, she got 3 meals, all taken care of. Plus, she only had to do one check. And when she found out they would just take it out of her checking account, she was in. She was sold. So she told her son. And she shared with me, she said, I had that conversation with my son, and it looked like he was relieved, the expression on his face when I told him that. And I shared with her, he was relieved because he didn't have to make that decision for you to go into this type of community knowing darn well you would be taken care of, number one. And he also didn't have to make that decision. You made it to quit driving. So those are things that he was relieved about. So he was all on board. And next, all three of us met. And what we did was is we put a deposit down. And in the meantime, I had brought my laptop over to her house. And then we did a Zoom with the sales and marketing person of the apartment that she was going to be living in addition to looking at some of the other areas of the community. And she was a little jaded by the fact that she was going to be putting money down, sight unseen, going into this apartment. So she was more relieved after we did and had the Zoom with the sales consultant at this community. So that worked out. And then as we were required or requested to for her to put a down payment down to hold the apartment, her son and I sat at the table. He allowed me to take total control and said, if there's anything I need to do because I'm family, let me know and I'll take care of it. So that in itself was a relief. I worked with her. And then what we did was we put the deposit in. And when we asked, or I asked for her credit card number, she rattled it off just like that. And then when I asked her for the expiration date, she did the same. And I said, do you happen to know what the code is? She rattled that off too. So keep in mind, she's 93 years old and she has a memory like Fort Knox. She remembered all of that. Didn't show me a card, didn't pull a card out. She had it by memory. So she's in pretty good shape. And keep also in mind that she was only on one medication, not the full tablet medication, half the tablet medication on a daily basis. Pretty good for a 93-year-old. So long story short, I started putting things in place. I got all the paperwork submitted, got the deposit submitted, and then I also connected with a, a person who was going to come in and pack, tell her what she could take, what wasn't going to fit in the room, because she knew the dimensions of the room at this community. She came over and she spent time with her, got everything in play. In the meantime, I scheduled the estate sale person to come over to see if there was enough to do an estate sale, which there wasn't. So I allowed him to take certain things to another estate sale that he was having for another one of my clients. And then he sold those at that estate sale, wrote her a check for that. The remainder of the stuff I liquidated with the help of the estate sale group. And then they came and picked it up after she moved. Now, keep in mind, the day she moved, we had everything ready to go. I connected with the mover, brought him in. He gave her a quote. So the day of moving, they were there promptly. I took care of her. I was there to make sure everything got loaded. Her son met him over at the community. He picked his mom up first, met him at the community. They unloaded at the community. The packer who helped her was there in the afternoon, and she helped unpack and got her settled same day. So, of course, let me share this. The only thing we had trouble with once she moved in, because she was always used to having a landline, as most seniors are, the only problem we had was with Spectrum, and that was it. And that took about a week with the help of the community to get that all resolved. How frustrating that was. But keep in mind, everything went well. And then after she was moved out, I took care of everything. There was there was a roof leak, there was some water damage. I took care of it with one of my resources who did it, and then got paid at the time of closing. Didn't ask for the money up front. That's always special with me because I work with these groups and they're there. They have to help seniors, to protect seniors, and have a passion to help seniors. So we took care of all that. I had Massey come over because there were some little flies. Got that taken care of. I had it cleaned by a cleaner. It was dirty. Believe me, a 93-year-old who's got limited mobility. It wasn't the cleanest. She made it sparkle. We listed it, got it under contract. We sold it. Donations, everything was clean by the time we closed on the property. Broom swept clean. Everything, she was moved. And the best thing is I got a call from her son about 3 months later. It said, "Hey, I'd like you to come. I'm going to take mom for her 94th birthday, and I'd like you to join us." So I did. Had a great time, and I want to share one thing with you. Because she was on limited medication, just a half a dose, she had a martini. She grabbed that martini by its stem. She shook that martini up to her lips. Nothing was lost. It was unbelievable. We had a great time. The food was good. Bottom line is, I like what I do. I was rewarded by her and her son allowing me to help them through this process. And that means a lot to me. That's the reward that I have. And I always tell people at my seminars, it took me 60 years to figure out what the hell I wanted to do in my life. This is what I like to do, is help seniors and their families make that transition and bring everything together, because I've worked the last 7, 8 years as a real estate agent, building that resource or those professionals or trusted resources and services. So I always keep in contact with her. I celebrated with her on her 95th, and just recently we celebrated her 96th. She's has been moved since because of her leg condition into when she went to rehab, got out of they wouldn't let her out of rehab because the community didn't have the necessary equipment to help her in and out of bed. So she had to stay in rehab and ended up being permanent. It's a nice rehab, very clean. The people are very good, nice culture. I was impressed, but the only problem is her monthly fee went from 4,500 a month up to 10 grand a month. She's self-pay. That's a whopper. So the son allowed me to set up an appointment with the elder law attorney who did the closing for the property. And basically, she had a conversation with him to get things in order in case something happens to him. What's going to happen to your mom? So they had that appointment. She provided options on how to preserve assets. So it's still in the works. And it's going to happen. But the relief, and the son thanked me for pushing him to have that conversation with the attorney, because this way, in case anything happens to him, his mom will be taken care of. So those are the rewards that I and Alba have as certified senior housing professionals. No other real estate agent is going to do what we do in helping seniors and active adults. So I will ask you, if you have any questions, any senior related questions, have a family member who needs to make that move, that you reach out to Alba and I. The contact information is here. The website, go to the website, connect with us, and we'll help you through that process, because it's overwhelming for the family to go through all of these steps. But we're seasoned, we're educated, we're informed as to what the needs of seniors and active adults needs are. In closing, I hope you enjoyed today's Get Your Weekly Slice. If you'd like to discuss further today's topic, you can reach me via email at mike@your, Y-O-U-R, Florida, spelled out, Haven, Haven.com, or call me at 407-340-5291 to set up an appointment. I provide a free 1.5 hour in-person meeting to discuss your future plans on aging while providing you a minimum of 3 options to choose from. Don't forget to follow us and like us on Facebook and Instagram. While on my website at yourfloridahaven.com, sign up for my monthly newsletter, RSV to any of my in-person events, which are held at the Orange County Library, Smarter Senior Seminar Series events, and to view any and all of my videos and podcasts. We hope these podcasts are helpful, and if they are, please share with your friends, family, and neighbors by letting them know what we offer as certified senior housing professionals, designated real estate agents, to our seniors and active adults as they age. We're a connector. It is about keeping seniors in the know. Till next time, when you come back to get your weekly slice.
This podcast episode is sponsored by Palumbo and Bertrand, attorneys at law.